Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another powerful conversation inside Audacious. I'm so excited for today's interview because we're diving deep into a topic that is rarely talked about in the world of success, which is pleasure. When we think of business, ambition, and achievement, we often associate it with strategy and hustle and pushing, making it happen. But what if the secret to expansion, to having wealth, to fulfillment wasn't about working harder, but it was actually about allowing more pleasure and intimacy and ease into your life? My beautiful guest today is Dr. Kimberly Pendleton, and she challenges everything we've been taught about what it takes to have it all. She is the CEO and founder of Uncover, and Kimberly has built a powerful body of work, helping women unlock deeper intimacy, step into their pleasure, and redefine what success looks like and feels like. And most recently, she's entered an entirely new season of her life, motherhood. And instead of letting it slow her down, she's allowed it to expand her capacity for love, leadership, and abundance. Kimberly, I'm so honored. I'm so excited to have you join us here. Welcome to Audacious.
Thank you so much. This is just such an honor, and it's such perfect timing, to really bring together everyone and all the wisdom that you've been bringing together. It feels like, whew, let's go, girls. Like it feels like we're coming together at the perfect time.
Exactly. Let's go, girls. And let's start with this. You teach that intimacy and pleasure are tools for business expansion, and most people don't associate those things with success, right? But
Right.
how about you? When you first started your business, did you have that belief that intimacy and pleasure were the keys, or was it a different world at the time? Share with us, girl.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. And the truth is, I was so out of this world that I don't think I even started referring to what I was doing as a business until like a few years in, which is so silly because I was selling things, I was receiving money, I was coaching and teaching, but I just thought like, oh, business. Like that's not me. I am just helping people. And it's so crazy because now they're so linked in my mind. But yeah, at the time, and it's so good to go back there, I was diving into the healing work around pleasure and intimacy that had helped me. And I had this kind of existential feeling of like, nobody taught me this. I need to like turn around and like help other women know this. And in particular, to get like a little heavy right off the bat, I had really found pleasure as a tool for trauma healing, to be this kind of like it felt like I opened a door to like a secret universe. And as a women's studies PhD, I had been in this like academic world and we had talked about trauma and all the bad stuff. But I had never heard people talk about like what we want instead, or like a beautiful kind of like healing life afterward. Only I had heard about like like the laws and like what not to do. And we don't want that and stop that. And of course, like that's so important. But this felt kind of like like I had like discovered this big secret that like pleasure and intimacy and even like now I take clients to Paris and it's like that's such like a healing experience for so many of them who were like never allowed to have nice things and they're having like caviar for the first time. And yeah, you weren't learning about the healing powers of caviar like in my women's studies classes. So it just felt like this kind of like, whoa, like I need to share this. I need to share that like coming back into your body, even through like things that seem small, like something soft, something nice, something like pretty, could actually really be profound. And then, especially once we had hit my first seven-figure year, we had made $1 million, which is crazy to even say this, but $1 million in cash teaching about pleasure. I was like, okay, first of all, I've made a lot of mistakes like along the way that I would tell someone else not to do. But second of all, I'm like seeing a lot of overlap, like if I am calm, if I'm supported, if I'm safe, I can open up and I can like handle whatever comes in business kind of the same way I'm teaching people in intimacy. And it was like another layer to the breakthrough. So I was slow in a way to like recognize what I was doing had business mentorship capacities. But a few years ago, once we studied at seven figures for like multiple years and I was getting better at it, I thought like, okay, uh, how great would it be if this is what people thought being a CEO was? Like you have this incredible life and you're so supported and you feel so open. And of course, hard things happen, but you kind of know how to soften into it. I just thought, like, okay, maybe we need a whole wave of uncovered CEOs.
Wow. I mean, the fact that you did not know you had a business.
Like, literally, I remember a mentor of mine, Nisha Moodley, had a program called The Art of Business, which is a great program once I finally looked at it. But I like didn't watch it for years because I was like, oh, I don't run a business. That's not me. I'm just receiving money in exchange for goods and services. It's like literally that's a business, girl.
Business girl. And I think that the basis of it was because you didn't associate like pleasure with business. Like that is right there.
Yeah.
Like if it is,
Yeah.
if I'm just doing what I love and
Yeah.
healing and helping people, it's not business.
I
Business is
okay.
serious.
It's
CEO is with a suit jacket.
totally. No, you're hitting on something really important. That was such a misconception of mine. And maybe also part of the evidence that we're meant to change, kind of what business even is, because you're exactly right. Not only did I think like you're stuffy and in a suit and in like a tower, I also kind of had this idea like businesses hurt people or like hurt the planet, hurt like society. Like, I don't know, like I really had this image of business as something like against us. And we are evidence of a totally different, I mean, some of that was probably just me, but like I do think we're evidence of a different wave where it's like the ecosystem of like we're supported, we support, like the healer gets like money and then like gives the money back to the world in like beautiful ways. And it actually isn't harmful, or at least that's not the goal. The goal is to help and be, as supportive a part of the world as possible, not take as much as we can and then like run off.
I felt that when you said that business hurt people. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the same thing goes with money. Like a lot of our
right.
blocks is like I don't
Right.
want to hurt people. I don't want to be
Yeah,
scamming people and
yeah,
taking money. So a lot of that can go there as well. So I'm
yeah,
really glad that you saw that. We are
right.
seeing that we are the new wave,
Yeah.
that the work that we're meant to do is supposed to actually expand and bring even more money in the hands of women that are doing good things in the world,
Right.
like healing their trauma through pleasure.
Right, right. It's like, oh, wait, this is a breakthrough. And so many of our colleagues and sisters are in this category where it's like, oh my gosh, there's literally no one I trust with money and millions more than these women. Like, yes, let's get them, more resources because the amplification of it is so positive. And at the same time, to get like maybe even more into the weeds with it. I've had an interesting journey with then friends and community who are kind of more on the activist side, more on the heart, like bleeding heart side with me, have been sometimes puzzled by the beauty part and the pleasure part. And it's like, ooh, I know you care about what we care about, but you also seem to really like purses and champagne. Like, how do these coexist?
How do
And I,
they? Yeah.
yeah, and I think of course, it's just like not everyone's thing, but for those of us who are like drawn to both, I think we're pioneering a new way there too, where it's like, a beautiful life for you and a beautiful life for everyone. And like they go together.
Oh, I love that. Yes. And
Yeah.
that was kind of like bridging into the question that I wanted to ask you because
Yeah.
there is so much shame and conditioning around pleasure, especially.
Right.
So,
Yes.
what do you think is the biggest block holding women back from claiming their full aliveness and allowing it to impact every area of their life, including business?
Such a good question. Such an important question. This may not resonate for everyone, but for a lot of my clients and for me, there was sometimes deep down, sometimes like right on the surface, there was conditioning from religion, actually, that our pleasure was dangerous. And like a lot of my clients have a Christian background, but I've actually worked with Jewish and Muslim clients too who have this programming that it was like, oh, your pleasure is not the priority, in fact, like if you want it, whether that's intimacy, like physically, kind of like more standard definition of pleasure, or even something else, like if you just want like to go shopping or have the chocolate cake or what, anything that, and in the Christian language, like it might be sinful. It's
It
just
is. It
like,
is in
oh my
Muslim too.
God, yeah.
Woman's pleasure is
Yeah.
especially towards sexuality, it's a sin.
It's a sin, it's dangerous, and almost like it's this like force that we have to keep like tamped down at all costs. And it's so interesting because sometimes my clients will be like, I don't even believe this. Or, I've had a whole awakening. I know God loves me and like everything's fine. But like deep down is still this voice. One of my clients was like, I feel like I have a choir of nuns in my head going, no, 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 no. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, even if we don't really buy in, so much has already bought its way into us. And even when I think about like intimacy work and clients who were like, if I have sex on the first date, am I bad? If I like, spend more money than like my sister, am I bad? And if I'm like really thinking about it, like where do those voices come from? And it feels like that same thing, like that purity culture, pleasure is bad kind of programming. And so we have a lot of stuff stacked against us, if it feels like dangerous to like take a break or buy yourself flowers, like you're not crazy. There's a lot there.
My goodness, as you were saying this, I mean, I come from Iran, so the
Yes.
programming and the shame around, I mean, you talk about uncover, your brand is uncover. Women of Iran, they have to cover it up. It has to be all covered.
Yeah.
So I, and even though there is so much knowing here that I know that this is not true, I know that
Right.
but there was so much work I had to do to even own the fact that my voice matters. Because I don't know if you know, in Muslim cultures, there is women can't even sing because their voices are not to be heard. There is, even if you are praying, a woman's laughter is not meant to be heard by men who are not either related to her, like by blood or husband. So
Yeah.
there is so much
Silence.
oppression and violence, and deep down, how can we even think about pleasure when it's
Right.
dangerous to even
Right.
speak up,
Even laugh.
even
Yeah.
laugh?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
have chills all over my body
Me
as I'm actually.
too. Oh my God, it's so important. Yes, you are. really hitting the nail on the head. And then that thought that, like, yeah, even if we know what we know, it's in our bodies usually, and that kind of deep silencing, even ancestral, kind of like so many of us are the first women in our family, or it's new in our family that as women we could be making money and being in public. And it's like, wow, we're carrying like generations of women who couldn't even really have dreamed of this.
I mean, I remember myself, I was 7 years old. It's such a vivid memory. I was wearing this dress, and in Iran, until you're of age, which is 9 years old, you're
Yeah.
still allowed to, it's sick to
Yeah.
think about it, that you're still
Ah,
allowed to not cover up. But I was walking with my mom, and a moral police, that's what they call it, stopped.
yeah.
And she said, they said to my mom, it's like she's wearing an inappropriate dress. And my mom said, what are you doing looking at my 7-year-old daughter? And Kimberly, I remember the terror I felt because they can just take you to prison right there. I'm like, Mom, please don't say anything. Please
Right.
don't say
Don't talk
anything.
back.
Don't
Yeah.
talk back. And that memory is so vivid in me is that I was
Yeah.
so afraid of being seen, for my mom to be heard. So the
Yes.
dangerous part of expression, self-expression, all of it is so deeply rooted. And so I'm just
So,
glad for this work because
yes.
there has been a lot of trauma. And it
Yes.
is, I went through the trauma informed work because what I
Yes.
experienced myself, but it can
Yeah.
get really heavy. It can get really, really heavy. So the fact that you do it through pleasure,
I,
such a breath of fresh air, because it can feel like sometimes for years you can just go down that path of trying to
yes.
uncover one thing at a time, and it can take you to the freeze response for a very long time.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I can just feel what you're saying. And for it to be embedded, so early and so thoroughly in you that being looked at is scary, that even like for your mom to speak back is scary and also good for her. Just that, oh my God, that boldness being just such a danger. It's so crazy. And Iran, Western women I find, don't tend to understand how that is a newer development. Like they don't understand that in Iran, it was not always like this. Like American women sometimes I think just assume like, oh, it's the Middle East, like it's always been been like this. And you want to just show people pictures of Iran in the 60s and women and I mean my history like probably is a little rusty, but just
70, even up until 70.
yes. Yes, in like mini skirts to die for that I would like love to have in my closet. But that yeah, that like tendency in us, and I won't get like crazy political, but like I'm seeing it in my country right now too. It's like we're vulnerable to wanting the rules. And I see it with Christianity in the US. And I think a lot about Iran and about how how quickly that can happen.
Exactly, exactly. My grandparents, like when I look at their pictures,
Yes.
they're sitting with royalties, and the way that my grandmother dressed and all of it, and then all of it, it was taken away overnight. And so
Yeah.
I can only imagine that how, especially for you that you're doing this work, and you have so much knowledge of it, is scary that it can
Yeah.
be taken away so quickly.
Yeah, that we see that. And it does, I think, mean that whatever those are like I like think too much about it. My husband's like, put your phone away. But when I'm more like in my resourcing and like thinking about our mission, what I land on is like, okay, as the divine feminine is rising, because to me, like those rules, that's so much about like patriarchy still kind of wanting to try to control women, hide us, silence us. I'm like, oh, the feminine is rising anyway, and it does feel like as women in CEO positions are like taking over more and more, rising in politics. The president of Mexico is this like fabulous woman, and like just more and more of this. And then the work that we're doing, I have this feeling of like, all right, it's all hands on deck. Like that's your part, that's my part, that's her part. And if one of us gets tired, you can take a nap, and then the rest of us will get you. And then, just that we're all doing it, whether it's like as mothers or wives and daughters or as businesswomen or all of it, writers, artists. It's like we're all doing our part to help that balance come back, and that the fear of the power of the feminine would get outweighed by just like love. That like we're not we're not trying to do anything except like bring more love to the whole world. Like help us.
Exactly, exactly. And I love that you said we were all doing our part because it's been, even though I've been doing this work for a while, but it's been kind of a recent kind of responsibility that I feel, not from, oh my God, I'm responsible, but actually it's a
Yeah.
privilege for me
Yes.
to now, with the work that I'm doing now as a Persian woman. I
Yes.
don't see that many, although there are some
Yes.
great examples, but like talking about this type of work and then having gone through what I've gone through
Yes.
and now being the one that I can do my part so that thanks to internet and social media for all the things that they are, they can not be so great, but there is
Right.
the fact
Right.
that they have immediate access to this
Yeah.
information, to this knowledge. It's just such a blessing. And you're right.
Yes.
Like we all do our share, and that's why we're all needed. All of our voices are so needed in this work and this world.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it feels encouraging. It's like, oh, I really resonate with what you're saying when I think about especially one of the things that I had so much help creating was a certification in my trauma informed method. And
Yeah.
I remember tearing up with the first cohort because I thought, like, when I felt like this was my responsibility, it felt so heavy. But
Mm.
now the thought of everyone taking it and adding it to their work and changing it and like bringing it to the people who would never want to work with me, but they do want to work with them. It started to feel light because it's like we're all doing it. And it's not on me to like heal all the trauma in the whole world. It's just like, here's what I know. Take it, combine it with what you know. Let's like each do our part. Like I have a little candle, I'm lighting their candles, they're going off, lighting more candles. I mean, I guess that could sound a little scary, but it felt really different. And I feel that from you, that feeling of like it's a privilege to be here right now. I secretly think that we all came back here at this time on purpose. We were like, the earth is going to be ready for women to have a power revolution. And yeah, and we're each like contributing and showing new faces of like the divine feminine and what that could be.
Ah, I just love that. And that vision of the women like just lighting each other's candles and just like shining yours, and then they come and take, and then it doesn't take away from yours, and it just adds more light in this world. That is so beautiful.
Feels so good.
You mentioned motherhood, and that's the perfect segue to talk
Yes.
about it, becoming a mother. It
Yeah.
is one of the biggest transformations as a woman that you can go through, isn't it?
Holy moly. Yes. Wow.
This
It's been such
experience
a
expanded.
portal.
Yeah. How has it expanded your experience as a leader? Tell us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, one thing I couldn't help but see right away was this parallel with business where I was like, oh, the more supported I am, the better I am at this. And it's so obvious, but it's so counterculture too. As a CEO and as a mom, I had to really learn, like, let people take care of me so that then, like, I can take care of the baby. and the business. But it's so interesting. And I think kind of similar to that purity culture stuff and like no pleasure and like no rest. Like there's such similar programming about motherhood that it's just like give of yourself until there's nothing left. And we're so lucky to like have these other voices from our work to be like, wait a minute. If there's nothing left, there's nothing left. Instead, what if give and get replenished and give and get supported and like lean into like your sisterhood, lean into people helping you. And it's been humbling in the best way to be like, I can't do it alone. I don't want to. Like we're not made to. And it reminds me of the business too. It's like, wow, if we're doing something big and hard and important, then let's do it together so that it's not just like crushing you under the weight of it, but actually that feeling of like, okay, like I'll hold your hair, you hold the baby, like just let's take care of each other.
Yes, and being able to receive that and letting yourself being taken care of,
Yeah.
it is so important. And it's, I think I'm so glad that we're kind of like debunking that the belief that as a mother you should be
Yeah.
just lose yourself in the motherhood and just like completely let go of everything else and sacrifice, which
Yeah.
is a topic that I really wanted to bring in Audacious because there is so much talk about women must choose between family and ambition.
Right.
And I want us to talk about that if we were to rewrite it, if we want to
Yeah.
rewrite the narrative and debunk it, because, we are in a world together that we see that women are doing incredible things and they are incredible mothers, including
Yes.
yourself. But not everyone sees that because
Right.
we've been brought up by mothers that
Right.
they gave up on their careers and ambitions. So if you were to rewrite that narrative,
Yes.
what would be the new one?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. And it feels like exactly part of this revolution we're talking about because, like you said, we're surrounded by proof that women who pour into like their passion and their work, especially when they believe in it so much and they've created something so beautiful, it's like that just is fuel to be this like amazing example as a mother and to come in grateful. I would say you're going to love this because our work is so linked. One of the things that felt really like a breakthrough around relationships with me and my clients was, oh, like we're told kind of that your success could jeopardize, your intimacy, that like men might be intimidated, you might make too much money, like da 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 da. And it's like in our world, it's like, no, 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 no. The more success you have here, the more success you have here. Like they go together. And that's part of like, I think the alchemical magic that you do and that we do. And I was like, oh my God, it gets to be the same in motherhood. That there is like, I fill up here, I fill up there. Like this skill set is actually like working even better in business. The things that make you a good mother make you such a good CEO and coach, like the intuition and the ability to like really be there, present, empathetic. It's like, yeah, our society might not be teaching that in business schools, but they probably should be because those are the actual skills that I've needed as a seven-figure CEO.
Oh my God. Yes. And you're so right. It's one of the biggest things that I work with a lot of women that are so successful, and their
Yes.
biggest fear is that my success is going to intimidate men. They're not
Right.
going to want to be with me. Well,
Yeah.
are we attracting the type of
Yeah.
we actually want?
Yeah.
Or, is that what we're looking for?
Fragile little breakable person. Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
Because if I shine too brightly, that means that I'm taking, like, he's
Right.
not man enough anymore. Like, what is that if that's the case?
You're absolutely right. And then it's like yeah, we're this example, you're this pattern break where they could be like, oh, like maybe I do get to have it all. And I think that's one of the things, if you study the history of feminism, it's like you can watch women kind of fighting for like, okay, I think I want this. I want access to work, but like, okay, I've had to give up family. Okay, I think I want this, but like, I don't know if I can have that. This generation, I think really for the first time is showing like, I want it all. I want it all at once. I want to be able to like come do this amazing interview with you, talking about our deepest work, and then go be with the baby, and then go work on something that is going to make millions of dollars, and then like have a date night. And it's just like, okay, we're creating a totally new paradigm as part of the rise of the feminine.
Exactly. And to be examples of that, because it is true that
Uh,
when one woman is we can go both ways about it. If one woman
Yeah,
is doing it, we could be because we feel like I don't have what it takes. I don't have her support system. I don't have the amount of
yeah,
money that she has. I don't have a loving husband. Then
yeah,
shrink ourselves and say, well, if she has
agree.
all I need to have everything that she has in order to
Yeah,
have it, or be like, ooh, this is an example of what's available for me too. And
yeah,
expanding myself and my consciousness and all of it and being around these women will help me calibrate
yeah,
and so I can have my version of all of it because I
yeah,
mean the truth is that not everything that you have I have or another woman has is right for everybody, but then you get to pick and choose
right.
what it is that you want and you desire and then
Yeah,
owning it and coming to terms with it and just get it, girl.
yes.
Yeah, yes.
I love
Oh,
this.
I also like there is obviously everyone who can see it. You can see that this beautiful raw, beautiful sensuality, Kimberly, that you just embody, and this is something that I know so many women crave, but they can also like be kind of like scared of it and say like I need to tone it down a little bit. It's not whether if they're successful in their business, it's not very professional
Yeah.
or if they're mothers, I have to tone it down. How have you
Agree. Yeah.
navigated and owned this part of yourself that is just so beautiful and so magnetic?
I like feel so seen. And I so know what you're talking about. I mean, and I even wonder, this could be a separate thing, but I've also noticed with myself and with clients a feeling that around like our magnetism or even like flirting. One of my courses is on how to flirt. And
Yes.
one of the big things that comes up for us is honestly a feeling of like, is it safe?
Mm,
Like, is there going to be almost like too much if I unleash my sensuality and my magnetism and I'm just like floating down the street, this like bombshell? Is it going to be like too much attention?
yeah.
Too much to handle. And then maybe that's like slightly different, but feels kind of like sisters with the problem of like, is this professional? Is this like what a mother can wear? Like these feelings of like decorum kind of, and like, oh, like, is this too much? And I think there's such validity to those fears because society is giving us all these rules all the time. Often they're contradictory and like hard to follow, right? Where it's like, be sexy, but like not too sexy and stop right now. But okay, turn it back on. Like, okay, you should be like a hot mom. You better have lost all the baby weight, but like don't be immodest. And it's like, oh my God, I like can't even keep up with all the rules. Like,
What am I supposed to
like,
do this?
yes, I'm trying to be a people pleaser, but the people are like not even being clear about what would please them. So sometimes it is liberating to be like, okay, well, it's like too much to even try. But then there are other times where I feel like, oh, this gets to be part of our mission, where we are like, okay, it may not match the image. Like I had a hoodie on the other day. I was at a coffee shop on my phone and I was doing a bunch of stuff on my website. And I was thinking, like, if you look at me right now, I probably look like I'm just texting my friends. I'm actually running $1 million business, like in this like sweatshirt in the corner. And I thought, like, wow, what if people were thinking like this is what a CEO looks like? And so I do wonder if the more and more you and I are doing things like this, it's like, oh, red lipstick, oh, roses in the background. Like, this is what CEOs look like. It feels kind of rebellious. Like, okay, maybe our sensuality is part of the revolution. And then that part of us that's like, is it safe? Is it okay? Like, am I going to be okay? I think we just be so gentle with that. It's so fair for that voice to come up, especially if we have trauma in our background. And to be honest, like most of us freaking do. But what I come back to, which is like a little bit heavy, but I think pretty important, is like the radiance and like magnetism and beauty of us is like not why we were experiencing violence or have this world where there's trauma.
Yes.
That is its own sickness in a way. Like that's its own, that's somebody else hurting and causing harm. And frankly, if we look at like the data and like statistics, it's actually usually like intimate partners or family or people who know us. And it's when we're vulnerable and scared. So I'm not saying when we put on like our red lipstick and we go out into the world radiant that we're like totally protected, but I actually think we're safer. Like, I think we're safer to shine. The data shows that it's actually more likely to be when we're feeling really terrible or we're really vulnerable. I know that's when I experienced assault and so many of my clients too. It was like a low moment, not when we're shining. So I don't say that to bum us out. I mean, because it's scary, it's sad to like really confront these forces in the world, but it does feel like, okay, but permission to turn this up in us because this is not what causes harm. In fact, the more we all are taking up space and radiating, I think the more we're going to create like a field in which the feminine seems too powerful to fuck with. And like, I'm here for that.
I felt that so deeply when you said that. And the whole that it is actually less safe to dim our lights, that it is less safe to just go and hide away as opposed to creating this wave of feminine, empowered feminine in every way. And it is going, this is how the world rises. This is how we
Yeah,
raise the vibration of everyone around
yeah,
us as opposed to well, it goes back to the beginning of where I said that, when I wanted my mom to be quiet. I
right,
wanted
right.
my mom to just comply
Yeah,
and basically say yes to the oppression.
yeah, of
Obviously, like a 7-year-old, that is
course.
normal for her to be afraid, and it's
Yeah,
normal for all of us to be afraid. But
yes.
that rebellious part, this is where the
Um,
change gets to be made, and that's what women of Iran every day doing, women all around the world, but they are taking their scarves, and even though it is scary, they are
yeah.
doing it because how else are we gonna change the world?
Oh my God, I have chills. I didn't know this when I called my business Uncover, but am I gonna get this right? I think it's the Greek word for uncover means apocalypse. And I was like, I mean, there's something about what gets to change when it feels like the world is ending, that there's like an uncovering, and it can be scary. And also, we're not doing it alone. And when
Yeah.
I think about those women literally uncovering, and all women literally uncovering these parts of ourselves that we've been told we need to hide, it does kind of feel like the world might end. And we're like, okay, let me grab your hand. Like, let's do this together. Like, we got this.
We got this. We're stepping
Yeah.
into the unknown, even though it is going back home.
Yes, exactly. I know. I know. Sometimes it's like a new way. No, wait, an old way, a really old way. Yeah,
Oh my goodness, Kimberly. Okay. I can talk to you
I know.
forever.
Food
And
for a
I it's a
5 hour podcast.
5 hour for sure. But
Um,
of course, we can't do that, well, not at least in one go. But I wanted
right.
for the last question to be that if a woman that is, because we're talking to women that are already amazing and successful and they're so great, but they want more. There is that more, whether it is that they want to now step into motherhood or they want more money or more visibility, but they haven't yet cracked the code yet. Well, they haven't yet. There's something that is in the way. Is there something that you want them to know? Is there something that you want to invite them into?
I think I would say your pleasure is not dangerous. You know, you can trust your desires, even if the littlest thing, like what do I want? What would feel good? What am I craving? It's guidance.
Yes,
And you are not alone. We're with you.
for sure. That is beautiful. And women are listening are definitely wanting me like, I need this energy in my life. I need Kimberly Pendleton in my life. Where is the place that you love for people to come and connect with you?
Oh my gosh, what a generous question. You know, I love Instagram. I'm Dr. Kimberly Rose Pendleton on there, and I am probably on a little too much. It's like a really fun place for me. And I do have a Facebook group, Pleasure is Power, where I try to put free resources every month. So if it feels like a good place to kind of like dip your toe in and kind of see proof like, okay, there are other women playing with the pleasure work and I'm not alone. That could be a great place too.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And we'll have all of those links there as well. And I also wanted to ask you, and I've asked all of my guests, that is there something that if a woman wants to step even deeper with you, is there a masterclass program, something that they can come and like go into their next levels with you?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking that. You know, I'm in the middle of inviting people in right now to this, honestly, like the deepest work I offer, which is this Mary Magdalene priestess training. And it's like everything we've been talking about, but like heightened. And I've actually got like all the books everybody gets like right here. It's this kind of like one part priestess, one part professor, and then we go to France and Paris, and the south of France, where she took refuge from her own scary government. So she really gets it. She was our, I think, a pleasure priestess who got cut from the Western canon for a reason. And just like we've been talking about with the divine feminine rising anyway, it's like, here she is. Tried to cut her from the Bible. She's like, I will find the voices like in the margins who are going to bring my work to light. But it's all about love. It's really beautiful. So it's a 15-month priestess training and I'm so like honored and we're about halfway full.
Oh my God. Like it's like what a perfect program
Crazy.
after this conversation.
I know. I'm
It's
like,
just
okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
this is the I mean alignment. I love that. We also have that. I'll get that link from you and
Yes.
put it in the notes for them because I know
Yes,
for
actually, Shahrzad. Okay, one last thing about her, which I even learned this in my master's program. And I remember thinking, like, wait, what? The evidence in the historical record is that Mary Magdalene's wealth funded the whole ministry of Jesus. And I'm like, oh, no wonder the church called her a whore later and like cut her from the textbook. She was the wealthy woman and the spiritual leader, and she like got silenced. Like, this is our this is what we've been talking about.
unbelievable. Like how
Crazy.
scared they are of a woman's power. How scary it
Exactly.
is. It's
Yeah.
and you're uncovering it. You're
There
changing
we go.
we're
There we
all
go.
doing it. I love that. Well, Kimberly, I cannot thank you enough. You are such a beautiful, beautiful everything, woman, soul. Like your work is just so potent, and I am so blessed to have you on this summit. And I know the women that are watching, they fell in love with you, and I cannot wait for you all to go and get yourself in Kimberly's world and get the example, be around the example that you desire so you can also have it all. Thank you, Kimberly, so much.
Thank you so much.